Good afternoon. I am Rachel Blanton with the Virginia Department of Education. I am the Senior Budget and Grants Manager in the Career, Technical, and Adult Education Department. Welcome to the VDOE Career, Technical, and Adult Education video screening session. Today's session will be focusing on the beginning of the school year with a specific emphasis on the financial allocations, expenditures, and the reporting of state and local funds pertaining to the career and technical programs. This session will look at all aspects of funding for the 2017-18 school year with particular emphasis on federal, state, and local funding. We will do a recap of the 2016-17 grant award, and extensive focus on the 2017-18, and then we will focus on the various funding allocations associated with state funding of career and technical programs. Regarding the 2016-17 Perkins Fund closeout, the 2016-17 Perkins allocation was announced in Superintendents Memo-Zero-17 Reimbursement requests for 2016-17 Perkins funds must be submitted via Omega by September 30th. Reimbursement requests must be based on expenditures between July 1st, 2016 and June 30th, 2017. School divisions will forfeit any remaining balance after midnight, September 30th, 2017, and may not be eligible for reallocation. If your school division has not submitted all its expenditures for reimbursement claims, you have 16 days to have these claims to VDOE. Therefore, we are encouraging you to make haste to complete this task. The 2017-18 Title I Federal Perkins Fund is $24,430,766 in grant awards. That is an overall increase of 1.7%. The division of Perkins funding is based on 85% for local school divisions and secondary, 10% for state leadership, and 5% for administration of the Perkins grant. Within the 85% that's allocated to the local school divisions and post-secondary, 85% of the whole amount goes to the 132 local school divisions, and 15% goes to the 23 community colleges across the state. The local school division allocation is based on individuals ages 5 through 17 who reside in the school division. The state obtains that data from the National Center of Educational Statistics Common Core data, and that's actually based on 2013-14 data. And also we utilize the poverty data based on the individuals ages 5 through 17. 30% of the funding is based on the number of 5 to 17-year-old students who reside in the school system, and 70% is based on the poverty index from that same area. The estimated allocation for the local divisions for 2017-18 was released on Superintendents Memo-078-17 on June 16, 2017. Of the $24 million amount that was received, as mentioned in the previous slide, $17,651,228.44 represents the 85% that's divided amongst the local school division. This also represents a $297,000 increase from 2016-17 school year. On July 1, the federal government release 29.6% of the total allocation to the state, and the remaining 70.4% will be released on October 1. The requirements for reimbursement through the Perkins Secondary Program Fund: you must have an approved local plan, must have actual school year 2017-18 expenditures. They must be encumbered by June 30th, 2018, and they must be appropriate use of federal funds to improve CTE programs based on required and permissive local use of funds. We would also like to point out that as a result of the USDE monitoring visit that took place in December of 2014, the regulation governing use of funds for CTSO events must be used strictly to support students who are eligible members of special populations or enrolled in a non-traditional course, and these funds may only be used for registration, transportation, lodging, and meals to attend CTSO conferences. This includes one teacher or advisor per school, per organization, per event. Please reference the CTE Director's Memo-Zero-18-15 that was released on January 9th, 2015 for exact details on the usage of the funds. Federal Perkins funds cannot be spent for capital improvements, upgrades, or improvements to physical structures, buildings, classrooms, or laboratories. It can also not be used to purchase, recondition, or repair equipment, to make equipment repairs, or to purchase parts for repairs. These expenditures must come out of local funds. Perkins funds also cannot be spent on the installation of equipment and shipping unless costs are included in the original purchase invoice and price. And it cannot be used for materials, supplies, and or commodities that are consumed or materially altered when used. Things such as welding gases, paints, lumber, sheet metal, batteries, for cosmetology like shampoo. Perkins funds cannot be used. Okay. But you can use Perkins funds for any new CTE equipment, instructional and classroom reference sets of textbooks for computers and computer software upgrades, rechargeable battery if it's part of the original equipment for things such as digital cameras and portable drills. Equipment is defined as any instrument, machine, apparatus, or set of articles that meets all of the following criteria: retains its original shape, appearance, and character with use, does not lose its identity through fabrication or incorporation into a different or more complex unit or substance, and is not expendable. And for equipment under normal use, it can be expected to serve its principal purpose for at least a year, and excluding supplies and materials as defined by the Virginia Department of Planning and Budgeting Expenditure Structure, Part 2.A13-XX, Supplies and Materials. That's June 2011. Equipment purchase must be listed in the current state edition of the recommended equipment approved for CTE program. Requests may be emailed to the appropriate program area specialist for approval to purchase any equipment not listed on the current approval list, and a web link to the list is provided at the bottom. Also, we are currently in the process of updating this list. Federal Perkins funds cannot be carried over to the next school year. Therefore, it is critical that you encumber or pay for all items by June 30th, 2018. Reimbursement requests must be submitted by September 30th, 2018. Any unspent 2017-18 funds will result in forfeit of the remaining allocation. Unspent Perkins school year 2017-18 funds will be placed in a reserve account and reallocated for unpaid industry certification reimbursements. The Online Management of Education's Grants Omega system. In order to be reimbursed, you must have an approved application that includes a local plan and a career and technical education management system plan, which is Schedule 17, that creates the administrative budget summary worksheet, which is Schedule 18. Again, your budget was released in Superintendents Memo-Zero-17. When your allocation is initially loaded, it is loaded to the zero default. Before your division can request reimbursement, you must create a budget transfer to move the funds to the appropriate object code based on the Perkins plan application. For your school year 2017-18 initial Omega budget transfer request, you can transfer the funds as they are allocated, or you can transfer them all at one time after October 1st. You can do July 1, the 29.6%. You can either do equal distributions to budgeted object codes, or you can target certain object codes based on your approved local plan. Or after October the 1st, you can transfer 100%, again based on your local plan and the budget summary. Reimbursement requirements. You must have an approved Perkins local plan in Omega. You must have an approved Omega budget transfer. We do recommend that you submit your reimbursements monthly on your actual expenditures and at a minimum quarterly. Encumbrance dates are required for object codes 3000, 5000, and 8000. Expenditures must comply with the Omega object code and definitions, and I have provided a link for you. Also, expenditures may be split between local, state, and federal funding sources. You must use 100% of your total school year allocation for Perkins. So we ask that you do not wait until the end of the school to submit one reimbursement to request the entire allocation. The Omega system is located on the Virginia Department of Education's website through the single sign-on for web systems, SSWS. It is a secured port access to the Virginia Department of Education's data, processes, reports, and application. Each school division has a SSWS account manager that issues authorized access to the system. Your school division must complete an Omega Users Permit Form, OP1, in order to be granted access to Omega. Once you have access to Omega, there are several levels of approval for reimbursements and budget transfers. At the local level, there are levels 0 through 3. Level 0 is a required level. This is the level at which budget transfers and reimbursements are created and submitted for approval within the school division. Level 3 is also required. This is the superintendent's approval level and the actual submission to the DOE's CTE unit. Levels 1 and 2 are optional. Within the CTE unit is levels 5 through 6, and VDOE's fiscal service unit is level 7. This is the last approval before the reimbursements are prepared for payment. Payments are administered weekly. Just a few reminders. The federal Perkins school year 2017-18 funds cannot be carried over to the next school year. Final reimbursement requests for 2017-18 must be submitted by the deadline of September 30th, 2018. Unspent funds will result in forfeit of remaining allocated funds. Unclaimed funds will be reallocated for unpaid industry certification reimbursements. Next, we will focus on Cte State Funding. We have CTE equipment. We have special equipment for high demand, high scale, fast growth industry sector. Industry certification exams for students and teachers. Workplace readiness skills for Commonwealth examinations. STEM H for student credentials and teacher professional development. Information technology industry certification. Occupational prep and CTE adult education program entitlements, and competitive innovative program grants. Let's start with Superintendents Memo-Zero-17 issued on July 14, 2017. It provides $1.8 million in state lottery funds. The funds are distributed on a CTE student enrollment basis with a floor allocation of $2,000 for each school division. 100% reimbursement of equipment expenditures not to exceed the approved allocation. State equipment funds must be used at 100% before any Perkins federal fund reimbursements can be used for equipment. State equipment funds must be used to supplement, not supplant, any funds currently provided within the locality. Equipment purchase with state funds cannot be claimed on federal Perkins reimbursement requests. Equipment purchase may be split between local, state, and federal funding sources. Reimbursement requests forms must be submitted to VDOE by Friday, June 1st, 2018. Request forms must have the division superintendent or designee's original signature in blue ink. Completed and signed forms can be scanned and emailed to the cte@doe.virginia.gov mailbox or fax to 804-530-4560 or mailed to Virginia Department of Education, Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education. Attention, CTE Senior Budget and Grants Manager, Post Office Box 2120, Richmond, Virginia 23218-2120. Only one method is required, but you must include all appropriate backup documentation. Secondly, we have Superintendent's Memo 201-17 issued July 14th, 2017. This is a $2 million allocation from lottery funds for special equipment for high demand, high skill, and fast growth sectors. This is also based on enrollment with a $1,500 floor allocation that goes to each school division. The second part of this same superintendent's memo is the Competitive Innovative Equipment Grant. This is $600,000. The Competitive Innovative Program Equipment Grant is also for high demand, fast growth industry sector and will be announced under a separate superintendent's memo in the fall of school year 2017-18. Next, we have Superintendent's Memo 20-17 issued July 14th, 2017. This is for industry certification exams, license, and occupational competency assessments. This is funded at the same state level as FY 2016, $1,331,464, and is based on CTE student enrollment. Funding for student credentialing includes industry certification examination, including workplace readiness skills, state licensure exams, occupational competency assessment, school and center site licenses. All of these must be listed on the Board of Education's approved list of credentials. Funding reimbursement for industry certification exams will be available for the following periods. For industry certification exam taken in June, reimbursement requests must be submitted by October 31st, 2017. Any exam taken between July 2017 and May 2018, reimbursements must be submitted by June 1st, 2018. Note 100% reimbursement of exam costs not to exceed the allocated amount. The reimbursements must be submitted on CTE State Industry Certification Reimbursement Form. The initial CTE State Industry Reimbursement Form request must be for 100% or less of the allocation amount. Subsequent CTE State Industry Certification Reimbursement requests and any that exceeds the initial allocation amount must be submitted on a separate reimbursement request form. For workplace readiness, Superintendents Memo-Zero-17 issued July 14, 2017. This has a state funding of $308,655, which is the same state funding from last fiscal year. This also is CTE student-based enrollment. Funding provides flexibility. Funding allocation must be used for the actual workplace readiness assessment or other industry certification preparation and testing. Funding allocation based on school year 2016-17 enrollment data for schools in secondary CTE courses. For the workplace readiness, reimbursement is also available for June 2017, and these reimbursement forms should be submitted by October 31st, 2017. For reimbursements for July 2017 through May, these reimbursements must be submitted by June 1, 2018. And please note 100% reimbursement of exam costs not to exceed the allocated amount. The workplace readiness also has a reimbursement form that must be filled out. The initial CTE workplace readiness skills examination reimbursement form must be for 100% or less of the allocation amount. Subsequent CTE workplace readiness skills exam reimbursement forms and any that exceeds the initial allocation must be submitted on a separate reimbursement request. For industry credentials for STEM-H, this is Superintendent's Memo 200-17 issued July 14, 2017. State funding for that was $500,000, and that is 0.810440 per CTE student enrollment. Use of funds based on STEM-H board-approved industry credentials. CTE Information Technology Industry Certification. The 2017 Virginia Act of Assembly, school year 2017-18, appropriated $1.3 million to support students and teachers pursuing information technology industry certification. The existing contract with Certiport and Microsoft for information technology industry certifications and related testing preparation results will expire on November 30th, 2017. Negotiations for a new contract will be finalized prior to that expiration date. Funding provided shall be used to support the following priority objectives: increased percentage of students enrolled in CTE information technology courses, increased number of students achieving industry recognized IT certifications, increased number of high schools and regional CTE program implementing IT curricula, increase of instructors receiving IT training for targeted CTE programs, increased number of teachers earning industry recognized IT certifications. CTE industry certifications and workplace readiness skills industry certification. Again, reimbursement forms must be submitted by Friday, June 1st, 2018. Request forms must have the division superintendent or designee original signature in blue ink. Submit the completed and signed form to the CTE at doe.virginia.gov's email box by scanning it, or you can fax it to 804-530-4560 or mail it to Virginia Department of Education, Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, attention CTE Senior Budget and Grants Manager, Post Office Box 2120, Richmond, Virginia 2321-2120. Again, you only have to use one method, but you must include all the appropriate backup documentation. For the CTE Industry Certification and Workplace Readiness Certification, recommended reimbursement request action. Ensure that all reimbursements are for only those industry certification exams, state licensure exams, and occupational competency assessments that have been approved by the Board of Education. Use the specific name of the exam, credentials, and/or license as listed on the Board of Education's approved list on all reimbursement forms. Submit your initial workplace readiness skills and other industry certification exams for your total school year 2017-18 allocation amount on the reimbursement request form. Submit your initial industry credentials exam, state licensing exam, and occupational competency assessment for your total school year 2017-18 allocation amount on the reimbursement form. Submit any additional industry certification and workplace readiness industry certification exam that exceeds your school year's 2017-18 allocation amount on a separate industry certification exam reimbursement form. Any additional certification, workplace readiness skills examination that exceeds your school year 2017-18 allocation amount will be held for payment processing until after June 1st, 2018. On June 5th, 2018, unclaimed state allocated industry credentialing funds will be reallocated to school divisions and regional technical centers that have submitted additional reimbursement requests for industry certification and/or workplace skill exams. State general funds for workplace readiness skills for Commonwealth exam and/or other industry certification will be paid fully on the state semi-monthly payment schedule. State lottery fund payment for state equipment and industry certification reimbursement requests will be posted for payment after January 2nd, 2018. School divisions must first use all their state allocation for workplace readiness skills and industry certification exams before submitting any industry certification exam for reimbursement with federal Perkins funds. The following Omega comment statement will be required. Industry certification exams and/or workplace skilled exams submitted with this Omega federal Perkins request are additional unpaid exams that have not been previously submitted for reimbursement payment with state funds. Next, we're going to talk about state program entitlements, and this is Superintendents Memo-188-17 issued June 23rd, 2017. This is for the occupational prep and adult education entitlement. For occupational preparation, we have $4.5 million. For the career education, we have $1,631,820. State funding provided for operating, improving, and expansion of CTE for occupational prep and adult education programs to support principals and assistant principals of CTE centers where at least 50% of their time is spent in CTE program administration or supervision. Extended contracts of instructors for activities related to coordinating, developing, or improving CTE programs, and adult occupational CTE programs to provide opportunities for adults to prepare for initial employment, retraining, or career advancement. This is based on actual expenditures reported by the school division and regional centers for the prior school year on the CTE financial report. School year 2015-2016 occupational preparation expenditures was reimbursed at 51.2%. For that same school year, for the career adult education expenditures, they were also reimbursed at 51.2%. And now we have our CTE financial report. The CTFR data submission is done via the VDOE single sign-on for web systems. Reporting application for the CTE actual expenditures by school divisions and regional technical centers for school year 2016-17. Occupational prep expenses for both state and local, and for CTE adult education expenditures. Please note, Superintendent's Memo is expected to be released in December of 2017. The allocations and expenditures of the local school division fund for the career and technical education program is reported on CTEM Schedule 16, line 10, and the CTEFR report of expenditures for the previous year. So now we're going to learn a little bit about the Omega system, the online management of education grant awards. Once you log into the Omega system, you will see a submission page, and on that page there are several links to help you if you get stuck. If you need immediate assistance, you can always click on the Omega support, and you'll be able to send an email message directly to the Omega support specialist at the Virginia Department of Education. If you click on help, you will be directed to the Omega web page, on which the first paragraph provides a link to the user's manual. This guide is very helpful, and we do encourage you to print this out for future reference. In closing, I'd like to just do the CTE Federal Funding Review. Of course, we have our Superintendents Memo-17, which gives you your allocated amount for the school year 2017-18. We talked about the CTE equipment, special equipment, industry certification exams for students and teachers, workplace readiness skills for Commonwealth exam, STEMH for student credentials and teacher professional development, information technology industry certification, occupational prep, and CTE adult program entitlement, and the competitive innovative programs. Upcoming event, we have the VACTIA conference, including a new CTE administrative workshop, and that's October the 3rd through the 6th, 2017 in Hot Springs, Virginia. And we also have the Virginia ACTE Leadership Development Summit on January 18th through 19th, 2018 in Richmond, Virginia. And we do ask you to complete the evaluation of this professional development and technical assistance video screening. Below you'll find the link. We encourage you to review the video, make your comments. We do use this information to make improvements. And lastly, we have our contact information. There you'll find our director, Loelita Hall, our assistant director, George Wilcox. We have the CTE Planning and Administrative Accountability Coordinator, which is Bill Hatch, myself, Rachel Blanton, which is the Senior Budget and Grants Manager. That's the listed contact information, as well as the mailing address and email address. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I hope that you have found this information to be helpful. I do encourage you to review it multiple times. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to myself or my colleagues. Again, I look forward to working with you in the 2017-18 school year and wish you much academic success. Thank you.